Hi, everyone. My name is Megan Link, and I am Arion Care's recruiting supervisor. You might have seen me across our social media or on some of the more recent Facebook Lives that I did with our community outreach coordinator, Vanessa. She and I have some exciting projects and videos that we're putting together for you guys, but I wanted to start a short series on resume building, interview tips, and just general information about Arion Care so that you guys can get a little bit more familiar with us, familiar with our process, and just to answer any questions that you all might have. So today I wanted to just chat with you all and share some information on how to build a proper resume. Some people either, are just kind of getting their start in their career and they're not really sure where to start with their resume, or if they're looking to make a career switch and update their resume, it's kind of a tough place to get started. So I went ahead and I put together a sample resume so that you guys can take a look at it, maybe take some tips from it and go from there. All right, so as you can see on my screen here, I have just a general sample resume. Typically what you want to include at the very top is your name, your general location, some of the best ways to contact you, and potentially a link to your LinkedIn account if you have one. Putting your address is not necessary on a resume, but you might want to put the city or the zip code that you live in, because depending on the role that you're applying to, it might be location specific. It might not always be a remote role, despite a lot of today's roles being, fairly remote or online. It is good for your future employer, and especially for us at Arion Care, to know where you're located. It helps us kind of get to know you a little bit better and get you placed in the right position. Having your contact information is also very important to include on your resume, whether that is a cell phone number, a landline, or an email address. We definitely prefer to have both the phone number and email address so that, if we aren't able to connect with you one way, we can connect with you another. Again, a LinkedIn link is not necessary if you don't have that social media profile, but if you do want to include it, again, it helps us to get to know you better prior to an interview, gives us a little bit of background and insight on who you are, what you're up to, what kind of work you've participated in the past, and just helps us build that professional connection with you. So below in the resume, you can see that I've included a little blurb about myself. So I'm introducing myself with my name, what kind of position I'm seeking, and what my general background is, what I'm looking for out of a role. So I wrote that I am seeking a position as a recruiter for the organization that I'm applying to, and that I have a passion for helping people. And then I put that I have a strong background in recruiting, customer relations, and communications. So even if you don't have direct experience in the role that you're applying to, it's good to include some information that might benefit that role. So for example, if I did not have experience in recruiting, but I was applying to a recruiting role, it would be good for me to include that I have customer relations and communications experience, because a lot of what recruiting is building connections with people who are, looking for jobs, and then also communicating with them and communicating with your team members. There's a lot of talking, emailing, texting, calling that goes on as a recruiter. And so with that knowledge, I'm able to put that front and center so that any employer looking at my resume will know that, maybe she's just getting her start, but at least she has experience in some of the qualities that we're looking for. Below that, you can see that I have my work history, my education, and my skills listed. Under work history, it's always best to include your most recent line of work right at the top. And then below that, just put the work experience that is either relevant to the role or showcases the experience that you've had in your past. If you are just starting out, fresh out of high school or even college, or if you've been out of the workforce for a long time, just include what you can that represents the best version of yourself for that position, no matter what the role is. Even if you have more personal experience, like say you have been a live-in nanny or you've been a stay-at-home parent, those are all wonderful things to include so that we can get a gauge for what you've been up to the past few months or years. For your education, it's not necessary to include your GPA or anything like that, but we would love to know what you focused in school, whether again, that was high school or a higher education at a college level, what kinds of extracurriculars you did, what kind of awards you got, what were your general focuses. Again, this just helps us to get to know you better and get a quick glance at what you're all about prior to connecting with you. Under your skills, a pretty common rule of thumb is to take a look at the job description that you are going to be applying to take some of those keywords and frame them around what your strengths are. So if you are, again, applying to a recruiter position like this mock resume is, you can see that I wrote, I have strong verbal and written communication skills because those are very important in this type of role. I'm able to accurately track and analyze data. So as a recruiting supervisor, I'm consistently looking at the data that we're bringing in, I'm analyzing it, and I'm using it to help our team grow. So I would include that under my skills so that whoever is looking at my resume knows that that's what my background is in. You definitely always want to use a lot of adjectives so people know where your top strengths are, what you're proficient in, and what type of other additional skills you may have. So just take a look at this example resume. Feel free to take a screenshot or pause it and come back to it. Use it as a side-by-side when you're building your resume, or you can even reach out to me at careers@arioncare.com, and I'd be more than happy to take a look at your resume and help walk you through any pointers that you might need. Thank you guys so much for watching today's video. It's been a pleasure just, sitting here chatting with you, walking through some of the resume tips that I've come across in my career. And I hope that you all stay tuned for the next couple of weeks where I'm going to go over different interview tips and then just tips and tricks about getting to know Arion Care and kind of how you're going to take those next steps. So definitely feel free to reach out to me. Again, my email is careers@arioncare.com. You can email over your resume, any questions, any concerns you might have, and I would be happy to start that conversation with you. Thank you so much and have a great day.